Hello, this is the final installment of the Nordic series, and today I will be sharing with you all about the trip, how it started, our spreadsheet, our accommodations, clothing, electronics and apps, food that stood out for us, our budget, kinda, and Q&A and takeaway notes from our trip. But first, let us do a recap. From Auckland, we flew to our first city, Oslo in Norway, where we only stayed for a night, just enough time for us to catch the Oslo Christmas market. Early the next morning, we rode a train to the very scenic village of Flam. The journey via the Flamsbana is an experience in itself, since it is described as one of the world's most beautiful train journeys. After a couple of nights, we rode a train to Bergen. It was originally planned to be a full-day trip and an overnight stay. However, due to train reschedules, we ended up arriving late in the afternoon, just enough time for us to visit the Bergen Christmas market. The next day, we flew to Lofoten Islands. Highlight of this leg is witnessing these larger-than-life views of Marina and Hamnøy that we only got to see in postcards, magazines, and travel shows before. And to make this trip even more memorable, we got stuck in the snow and had to call for help. Fun times indeed. Our next stop was another city in Norway, Tromso, where we got to learn more about the Sami culture. And of course, we witnessed Lady Aurora dance in our second attempt. One of the highlights of the entire trip. From Tromso, we flew to the capital of Finland, Helsinki. We had a full day to explore the city. From Helsinki on Christmas Eve, we flew to Rovaniemi. Literally crossed the Arctic Circle and met Santa Claus in Santa Village on Christmas Day. The day after Christmas, we rode a bus to Saariselka. Highlights of this leg are the Husky Safari experience, which was super fun, staying in a log cabin and a glass igloo. Then we flew to our third country, Sweden, specifically its capital city, Stockholm. We explored Gamlestan and spent our New Year's Eve and New Year's Day in Skansen. After several days in Stockholm, we flew to Oslo and then did a day trip to Bergen, where we got to visit Bergen and Flybanen. Finally, we came full circle and got to explore the city where it all started, Oslo. After almost a month of polar nights and numerous plane rides, it was finally time to go back to Auckland summer. In order for us to keep track of our journey, bookings, activities, and of course budget, we maintained this spreadsheet where we had a tab for transportation that includes flights, train rides, complete with flight number, booking reference numbers, dates, and times. A tab for lodging, including check-in and check-out dates, number of night stay, and if it includes breakfast or dinner, and if it has provision for laundry. The next tab is for checklists and items that we should bring: clothing, electronics, documents, toiletries, and supplies, such as snacks and emergency food. Next tab lists down all the activities in a location. Some of our activities are pre-booked and some are on the day. Last tab is the budget. Now, let's talk about our accommodations. During our first stop in Oslo, we stayed at Citybox Oslo. It has a self-service check-in and check-out process. Location was excellent, near the center, but the room was quite small. In Flam, we stayed at Flam Marina, which is around 5 to 10 minute walk from the train station, which was a bit of a challenge lugging our luggages on snowy ground. But the major plus of this accommodation is its excellent view of the magnificent fjord right outside its doorstep. Absolutely stunning. In Bergen, we stayed at Citybox Bergen City. Similar to its Oslo branch, it has a self-service check-in and check-out process. Room was more spacious than the one in Oslo. In Lofoten, we stayed at May's Apartments in picturesque Marina. It has a kitchen inside, which was very helpful since most, if not all, of the restaurants were closed during that season. It also has a laundry area. We absolutely loved May's apartment because of this spectacular view right outside our doorstep, just like a postcard that came to life. Still in Lofoten, we stayed a night at Scandic Leknes Lofoten. It is very close to the Leknes airport. Tromso, we stayed at Clarion Collection Hotel Aurora. The room was a bit cramped than what we expected and lights were quite dimmer. The good thing about Clarion is that it includes breakfast and light afternoon meal, which was dinner for us. In Helsinki, we stayed at Hotel Finn, excellent location in the city center and a stone's throw away from the malls and shop. The elevator was small and can only fit a person and his or her luggages. The room has two doors, not quite sure why. Safety, noise cancellation, not sure. No breakfast included, but it has a tie-up with a nearby cafe for a discounted price, I think. Next is Rovaniemi. We stayed at Hostel Cafe Koti. Great location in the middle of Rovaniemi city center. Our room was spacious, the common areas are clean and complete with all the necessities. elevator was cool. It opens like a door. A stay includes breakfast with a very basic selection. No hot food except for the porridge. Next up, Saariselka, Lapland. We stayed at Kakslautan Arctic Resort. Our first couple of nights were spent in East Village. Due to limited bus service because of the holiday season, we arrived late in the evening. Buyar was kind enough to help us transfer our luggages to our first accommodation, large chalet or a log cabin. It was very roomy, loved the interior and its details. It also had a fireplace. And yes, our room had its own sauna. Meet our neighbors. This is what it looks like outside the chalet during daytime. We had to walk a bit to the restaurant for breakfast. Since it was polar night season, it was always darker than normal, so head torch was really handy. The stay included free breakfast and dinner. Dinner has to be pre-booked. We usually let them know during breakfast what time we plan to have our dinner. Dinner in the East Village is a la carte and more formal in setting. These are the sledges used to transport luggages. After a couple of nights in East Village, we transferred to West Village. There are shuttles available that would take you from one village to the other. This is the West Village, which is larger, grander, and I believe newer than the East Village. I'd say that dining-wise, the East Village is more private, quiet, and intimate. On the other hand, West Village was more crowded and a lot busier. Another difference was that dinner at West Village is buffet style, but you can also order a la carte at a cost. Why did we move to West Village? Because of this, the glass igloo experience. We stayed in a 4-bedroom igloo because it has toilet and shower inside. The other options has toilet and shower area in a separate building. Next is Stockholm. We stayed at Sheraton Stockholm Hotel. One consideration was location. It's walking distance from Gamla Stan, which we visited every day. The bed was so comfy, the comfiest of them all. We stayed at Radisson Blue Scandinavia Hotel. Excellent location, very accessible to the train station, and walking distance to shops and restaurants. One of its selling point when we booked it was the fjord view. Unfortunately, weathersen said, "Naa, we couldn't see the fjord because of the heavy snowfall." Moving on to clothing. As the saying goes, there is no such thing as bad weather, only wrong clothing. We knew fully well what we were getting into and that we're headed to the Arctic region, so we had to prepare. Layering is key, and with the right layers. Very important are thermals, fleece-lined leggings, and preferably made of merino wool with a high fabric weight. The higher the fabric weight, the more suitable it is for colder weather. The highest that we could find then was 250. As for the upper garment, I had Heat Tech Extra Warm from Uniqlo as well as merino wool ones from Icebreaker and Mons Royale. We layered thermals and sometimes have a fleece top as mid-layer. Outer layer are wool knits. Again, merino was preferred. Puffers or down jackets are also useful for layering and sometimes served as outer layers. I had 2 jackets, a snow jacket and a long puffer down jacket. Bottoms, I brought hiking pants, rain pants, and snow pants. Scarves. Most useful, handy, and easy to use are the loop or round scarves. Things can get chaotic with the snowfall, and round ones are simpler and less complicated to use. Gloves. The most useful supposedly amongst this is the black one because of its touch screen ability feature. Sadly, one of the pairs got lost on the first night in Oslo. The mittens I didn't get to use because it has no traction on the fingertips for cell phone touch screen access. The big one has it, but it was too bulky. What did I use? I brought one from Flam. Beanies, aside from the neck, head covering is very important. Socks. We brought and used socks made of wool. We also layered our socks. Crampon spikes or traction devices are lifesavers. We've witnessed a lot of slips and falls during our trip. Both Jen and I had our own experience as well. This is very helpful, especially for white ice or melted snow, which are very slippery. Head torch. It is very useful when we were in Lapland. Snow boots. Good grip and helpful to avoid contact with snow and getting the feet wet. However, grip and traction-wise, our hiking boots were sufficient. These are lifesavers. It saved us from freezing. These are hand warmers and toe warmers. They are very, very effective. It was hard to look for these in the cities. We brought some from New Zealand, got them from Daiso and Chemist Warehouse. Next up, electronics and apps. Wi-Fi is life when traveling, so we got a packet Wi-Fi from Travel Wi-Fi. This is essential for navigation. Power banks. Based on our research, cold weather depletes battery easily, so I brought 3. Universal adapter, a traveling essential. Extension cord, which is helpful if you have limited universal adapter available and you have multiple gadgets to charge. Apps. First, airline apps, since boarding passes are digital. Withdraw, Finnair, Norwegian, and SAS. Next, Booking.com for accommodations. Matkahulto for bus ticketing in Lapland. For taxis, Maneva Taxi app for Rovaniemi. And of course, Uber. Navigation. Google Maps is king. We also use Roam to Rio sometimes. Travel Wi-Fi app for the packet Wi-Fi. Get Your Guide app for activities. Booked our Northern Lights Part 2 and the Sami Cultural Experience from the app. Global Blue app for tax refunds. Aurora Borealis tracking app. Food. Food is part of a place's culture, so we tried some unique and traditional ones. My ultimate favorite, Norway's brown cheese, sweet, creamy, and a bit caramelly. I kept coming back for more and even brought some home. Next, Norwegian waffle with sour cream and jam. Loved the combo of the sauces. Sausages in Norway. We've tried Frankfurter, Bratwurst, and raclette, and ostepos. They were delicious and very filling. I especially love the fried onion stuffing that they have. Another favorite of mine is this snack, Radisson. I hope I pronounced it correctly. It is a crispy corn pops covered with chocolate and a hint of salt. I love the sweet and savory combo. I wanted to bring some home, but the luggage just said no more space. Another new dish that we've tried is bidos or Sami reindeer stew. Its taste can be likened to beef stew. Deli food is absolutely delish, life and hunger savor, especially in Lofoten. We tried fish cakes, veggie spring roll, roasted pork, and bread. All good. In Oslo, we had to pay Kain Oslo a visit. It is a neo-Filipino bistro that serves these delectable dishes. In Bergen, 2 thumbs up for Olivia. Ambience was excellent. This pasta, one of a kind. Of course, we had to try Norway's Kit Kat, which I must say is creamier. Another Filipino fix, Kamalig Helsinki, serves authentic Filipino dishes just like how it actually is cooked back home. Hesburger is Finland's McDo, so of course we had to try. Norway and Finland boast of their cinnamon buns, rolls or bread. Tried one, loved it. In Rovaniemi, our Christmas Eve dinner was authentic Lappish cuisine served at restaurant Nili. Try their glogi, which is their version of mulled wine. My favorite, the squeaky cheese, milky, creamy, and cheesy. A definite must try. At Kakslautanen, what stood out? For East Village, this fish dish that tasted so good when the fish was mixed with the sauce around it. In West Village, I would say the porridge. How do we describe our trip? We can't call it a budget travel as how that term is used now. We strive to maintain the balance between gaining new experiences and of course, budget. The likelihood of us going back to the same places at the same time or season is low. We definitely want to visit again and see their beauty in springtime, summertime, or fall. Budget or fund allocation in retrospect. Given all the flights, this is how our expense pie looks like. Understandably, 49% of it went to transportation that covers all the flights, train rides, taxi rides, and Uber. 37% went to accommodation that includes the hotels, chalet, and glass igloo. 6% went to attractions or activities. Only 4% went to food, thanks to free breakfast and dinner in some hotels. 2% went to additional baggage. Yes, we had to. 1% for international transaction fees for credit cards. Others find it crazy that from a summer season in New Zealand, we chose to explore the Arctic region and during polar night season. How did it all start? It all started with, let's trace Northern Lights. Let's experience White Christmas. Let's meet Santa in Santa Village, and since we're there in that season, let's do it on Christmas Day. Spoiler alert, don't. Nothing special on Christmas Day in Santa Village. Let's experience sleigh rides. Let's sleep in a log cabin and better yet, a glass igloo. We booked our tickets around 5 to 6 months before our flight without having a set itinerary yet. We just decided to choose Oslo as our entry and exit point since we have our eyes set on Tromso for Northern Lights. In terms of accommodation, most of our accommodations were booked via booking.com because of its flexibility and great deals. Transportation, as much as we wanted to experience more train rides, especially overnight ones, we had to fly most of the time to maximize time. In terms of going around the cities, we survived by taxi and Uber. Some takeaway points from our trip. People were really friendly, especially the Norwegians and the Finnish. When we got stuck in the snow in Lofoten while waiting for the emergency crew, we lost track on how many stopped their cars and some even walked to us just to check if we're okay and to offer any help. Do note that in winter season, limited restaurants, if any, are open in Lofoten. All of the attractions, especially in Awe, were closed for the season. Language, there was no language barrier at all. Money, 99% cashless. The couple of times we needed cash was when we bought souvenirs at Helsinki Old Square and to use the toilet in Rovaniemi bus terminal. Connectivity is important, especially in navigation. Get a packet Wi-Fi or a SIM card. Emphasis on travel insurance. Jen's luggage was left behind by the airline twice. Insurance was helpful and useful. Be wary of taxi scams. We encountered one in Stockholm. Bring emergency food. Crackers, chocolate, instant coffee, and noodles saved some days for us. Bring umbrella to ward off snow. Insulation is very good in their hotels, malls, and buildings. Prepare. Be prepared financially, physically, and mentally. Polar nights may affect one's mood and disposition. Be ready that you'll only have around 3 to 5 hours of daylight. And by daylight, it means gloomy. Our Nordic trip was one for the books, and I must say, a once in a lifetime experience. I definitely want to go back, but on a different season.